Okay, President Trump is getting credit for forcing Europe to step up when it comes to defense. The EU's top diplomat says Trump pushed European nations into a long overdue reckoning over how much they spend and whether their militaries are truly ready.
The revealing comments came in an exclusive sit-down with Newsmax chief Washington correspondent James Rosen, who now joins us from the nation's capital. James.
Katrina and Bob, greetings from Capitol Hill. President Trump has spoken more critically of the European Union and NATO than any of his predecessors, and yet some top EU officials appear, at least to some extent, to have welcomed the tough medicine he has administered. With European governments now buying U.S. weapon systems and supplying them to Ukraine in its 5-year struggle to fend off Russian invasion, analysts on both sides of the Atlantic assess that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, seen here awarding his country's Order of Freedom to French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris last week, is actually turning the tide of the conflict.
Is it accurate to say that there is a widespread consensus, at least among the West, that Ukraine now commands a superior position in the war?
It's very clear that Ukraine actually employs a lot of new technology. They make it happen. They make sure that that it's not really only defensive, but as well as offensive, to make that work and to push Russia as an adversary to the table of negotiations.
I'm the boss, President Trump announced to his European counterparts, only half in jest, at last month's G7 summit in France. I asked Ambassador Neliupsiene whether Europe's new defense posture, including a collective expenditure of 2.1% of GDP on defense, just above the old NATO threshold, represented merely an effort to adapt to a distinctly different kind of American president.
Will history record that this reorientation of the European security posture was in fact what was necessary at this time, that it was time for some new architecture that would bring us beyond the post-war period, let's say?
I think that the tragedy of Russia's war in Ukraine in 2022 was this really the awakening that it's not enough to rely only on U.S. defense and security support, defense and security umbrella, that we actually, it's not enough only to purchase, that we have to produce ourselves.
And the EU and Ukraine signed a new defense production pact just last week. Bob and Katrina.
And up next, Biden's ghostwriters. Well, the former president wanted some things kept secret, but it looks like that is not going to happen. Greta Van Susteren explains on the record.
But first, a dine and dash that has everyone talking. Surveillance video appears to show a family of 7 slipping out of a restaurant one by one, leaving behind a pretty hefty bill. Gonna show it to you coming up next.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for the record on Newsmax.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It was a thermostat, $2,600.
A valve leak, $3,400.
But with Endurance, you'll never pay out of pocket for car repairs again.
Wait, really?
Really?
It was like almost a $6,000 job. Endurance covered it.
Less than 1 year after signing up, Endurance saved me over $7,000.
Without Endurance, fixing your AC could cost $1,100, your transmission nearly $5,000, your engine $8,000.
It's a bad camera unit, $800 to repair.